What's going on, Grow family? Listen, today is a special day. We have a celebrity in the building, right? She goes by the name of Kate Bushelon. If you're in the Birmingham metropolitan area, you have to know her, or you have to know her family. They have one of the most well-known funeral businesses in the entire city, well, really the entire state. So I don't want to take too much away from her. I'm going to let her introduce herself to you all who may not know her. So, Kate, please.
Hey, I'm Arlillian Kate Bushelon. I am the manager at Bushelon Funeral Home. I'm a licensed funeral director, as well as embalmer, as well as a certified cremationist. I have an affinity for the bereaved community. Anything that I can do for someone at their lowest point in their life, I'm there to help. That's what we basically about. My dad's slogan was, we care for you and your loved ones. And I truly take that to heart in all that I do.
Wow. So, getting straight to it, let's talk about like how this came into what it is, right? So I know your father started a business in what year?
1976.
1976. I mean, you're talking about decades of being in the industry. Walk us through you being engulfed in this as a kid, right? And you decided ultimately to get into the family business and kind of continue his legacy to this day. So walk us through like the early years of the business, how you guys have been able to like last so long and still be a top tier business in Birmingham, and you have an ability to kind of curate the business the way you have.
Okay, well, growing up in the funeral business, I knew nothing but the funeral home. It was nothing for me to be at the funeral homes, nothing for me to be picked up in a hearse or a limo at school, which I didn't like sometimes. But that was my dad. If he was coming off a service, he was coming straight to get me. Gotcha. So he had one of the funeral home vehicles. Always was kind of around it, but never worked in it, like the boys in the family, because they always saw the boys as the ones that work in the family, and the girls, you know, we do other things. But just growing up, when I got to be about 13, I wanted a job. So I told my dad I wanted a job. So my first job at the funeral home was to come down on Sundays and clean the lounge area. Okay. That was my only job. Like, my dad really didn't want me to work for real, but I wanted to do something. Right. So when I went to college, I actually went for marketing. Okay. And I wanted to be a sports marketer. What college? I went to Clark Atlanta University.
Oh, okay, HBCU.
Panthers. Okay. But no, I really thought that's what I was going to do. I actually graduated in 3 years from there. Wow. And thanks to dual enrollment, I'm big on dual enrollment. I started college the summer after my 11th grade year in high school. Oh. But as soon as I walked off the stage, my dad was in a wheelchair. He had multiple sclerosis.
My brother has it.
Really?
No,
okay.
Yeah. Becker's, I apologize. My brother has Becker's. Okay. But I get the decline in health. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Very much so. And so they had the wheelchairs kind of lined up towards the front. So when I got off stage, my dad went straight over to him. And the first thing he told me is, I want you to come home. Because I was planning on staying in Atlanta. And I didn't know that meant that I was going to come home and see his health decline. So when I came home, first I was working for the SWAC. I was an intern there. Okay. And then after that, I did have a job, but you can't hold down a 9 to 5 and see about someone who's in the hospital for weeks at a time or months at a time. Right. So I started working at the funeral home, and that's how I grew an affinity for working with, people who have lost someone. And it became such a love that became my career. My dad passed in 2013, and after that, we started managing the funeral home. My mom became the president of the funeral home, and I started managing the funeral home.
Okay. Oh, cute.
So from just listening, I was going to ask you a question on how did it happen? How were you pushed into it? So from the funeral home standpoint, what things do you think people should know but don't know about it, as far as like business, management?
They should know, first of all, that you don't get into this business for the money. A lot of people think that, you make a lot of money, you drive this, you drive that, you do this, you do that. But it's a 24/7 job. When you guys are in the bed, sleep 2 or 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, well, first of all, death doesn't know a time. Yeah. So 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, you might be awakened, by a family saying, I need your help. And we get up and we go and help.
You guys even go to the hospital sometimes.
Correct.
Or a person is even,
We go to the hospitals. We may go to the home. Coroner's office works a little differently. They have a cutoff time every day, so we make removals there during the day. But we are on call 24/7 for families. So basically, we are concierge for the funeral industry. I want people to know that you just don't get in it for, the glitz and glam they think comes along with it. It's a lot of late nights. It's a lot of sleepless nights because you can't let down a bereaved family. There is no dress rehearsal for a funeral. You either get it right or you get it wrong. And bereaved families are a little less forgiving than anyone else when it comes, because that's their moment to finalize that chapter with their family. So we have to be on point and make sure we're dotting our I's and crossing our T's. And for a lot of people, that can be stressful. But when you really love what you do, it doesn't become work. It becomes, just a labor of love. So that's one of the number one things I want people to know about the funeral industry. If you're getting in for the money, you're getting in for the wrong reason, and you're going to burn out from the beginning.
Wait, so that's good information to know. And I'm actually taken aback because I thought I didn't really know about the money aspect. I know you're extremely wealthy, but I don't really know about the money aspect about what goes into it, depending on the city and stuff that you're in. But what I was kind of thinking was, most people can't take death, right? So I mean, you have to have a certain stomach. Like I really want to know about your process. Like you said, hey, the job was really just clean up the living area. At what point did you have to get into the nitty gritty of, because you're talking about literally, these are people, and the average person I don't even know what goes on behind. You just see what you see in movies, but walk us through hey, it's not Daddy's little girl anymore. Now you're like, hey, it's serious. So walk us, at what age did you kind of step into the serious part of pulling, the bodies out of, and hey, you got to come here now, right? I don't know if there was the makeup part. I don't know. That's when you decided to become licensed embalmer. Walk us through that.
As a teenager, my father's embalmer at the time, Joanne Wiley, who was probably one of the first Black women embalmers in the state of Alabama.
Wow.
Just to give you a little historical background on her, she did the preparation for some of the 4 little girls.
Wow. The bombing.
Okay. From the 16th Street Baptist bombing. So she has a wealth of knowledge. And she started getting sicker, but she would start asking me to come to the back. She wanted me to come to the morgue because I guess she wanted to pass on her talents. And unfortunately, I didn't get to learn a lot from her, but I started learning from her.
Okay.
Just to get over, definitely. I'm honored to have ever known her. She was a brilliant person because, just to give you a little background history on an embalmer, the job is to paint a final picture.
Okay.
That is the last picture you'll have of your loved one. And like I said, it's not dress rehearsal. We have to try to get it right the first time. Of course, we'll make adjustments along the way. But we try our best to give you a peaceful chapter closing. And she was starting to kind of put me on to things. And then my brother also really kind of put me in the morgue to start learning, because I was getting ready to go to school at Jeff State Community College.
Okay.
That's where I went to mortuary science school. And part of being in that school is to be an apprentice embalmer and funeral director. So it was rushed right into it as far as doing everything. I can deal with a lot of the cases, but even any one of my colleagues will tell you children are hard. That's when it gets hard. Be it a house fire or they had just been sick. Either way, a small body. I have found myself dressing a baby and then I start kind of rocking them. That gets to you. But you just really got to love what you do. You got to know that the bigger picture is you're bringing peace to a mother who just lost their 3-month-old. You're bringing peace to a family who feel like this is the worst thing that could ever happen to them.
A lot of people don't know, but you literally buried my brother.
Yes.
Yeah, so my blood brother. So there's a personal connection with our family. That's the first time I've ever, usually as kids, maybe, a friend of the family, that's the first real loved one that I lost. And you literally dealt with one of the most loved people in my life. which is my brother. So I definitely get it. So
Yeah, and
like,
before we go any further, I just want to say, I know y'all know it, but I really appreciate that trust, because that's a trust there. You know, even if you don't know your funeral director, there's a very high trust for you to send your loved one's remains to anyone. Yeah. You don't know what's going on behind closed doors. But what I like to tell people is, my family is at the funeral home. My mom is the president. My cousins are licensed funeral directors. My cousin is the embalmer. So when you come to our funeral home, Bushelon Funeral Home, you're going to get a family member every step of the way. And we're going to treat you like we would want someone to treat our family.
For sure.
And I think that's really important for families. And again, you know, thank you for that trust. And, you know, it's something I will never forget.
For sure. Listen, guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break, but we'll be right back with Kate from Bushelon. What's going on, Grow Fam? Listen, we are back. Before the commercial break, you guys got a thorough understanding of who Kate was and, you know, her background in regard to the funeral service. What I want to do right now is I want to talk about your involvement really just in Birmingham. You may not believe it, but in my opinion, I feel that you are a celebrity in Birmingham, because when you say something, it's law. But I also know, you know, you grew up in Birmingham, right? And you've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly, and you know what a great Birmingham looks like. And what I really want to talk about right now is the current climate of Birmingham. You got the political climate. You just got, you know, crime. Crime is definitely coming down. There's a lot of good things to talk about in there, you know, potentially some things that may be of concern to you. So let's talk about Birmingham right now. And, you know, what are your thoughts on the current climate in Birmingham right now and how we're doing?
Well, first of all, I love Birmingham.
Okay.
Birmingham is extremely unique. I have the fortunate opportunity of having colleagues all over the world, and they are tuned into Birmingham, especially on social media. Anything that I say, they're like, "Oh, what happened with that?" Or what's going on? You know.
She say tune in, y'all. The whole city tunes in. At 5 o'clock, tune in. Everybody tunes in. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, because sometimes I have a little tea, but no, I would not change anything about Birmingham as far as the culture of how we relate when it comes to one another. Okay. I sometimes say on social media, one band, one sound.
Okay.
Like, we may, you know, get at each other, but when it comes to the world, we're going to stand together. And I love that. And I think that that is something that we can be proud of, because first of all of us are roast masters. We learned this in elementary and middle school. We know how to roast you. Don't start.
Right.
Just our community, I love. Like, when we were just talking about a few people we knew, I was able to tell you the connections that I had with them quickly.
Right.
And that's what I love about Birmingham too. When you go anywhere, it's like cheers, somebody know your name. And that's really cool about Birmingham. As from a funeral director standpoint, what I can say is great about the summer. We're used to, when it gets hot, we know it's a lot of homicides coming. Thank God that's not the case this year. Like, I just left a convention a few weeks ago, and I was in a taxi cab bragging. I was like, we are down. It was like 52% in homicides. Like, I was so excited for us. Right. And I think we're still doing really well with that. So as far as the violence and whatnot, I think it is reducing. I think that we may be kind of getting in the ears of our younger people and letting them know, you know, that's not how we do things here. But overall, I love Birmingham. Now, current climate is a little different when it comes to election season. It gets
Somebody hit the mic, drum. All right,
True colors.
Let's go. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has their person, and they want their person to win. You know, unfortunately, I hate when it comes to taking personal jabs at people because of what they want. I mean, it's an election; you only get one vote.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so and then after August 26th, what? You know, you've done all these jabbing at each other. Then how do we move forward August 27th?
Right.
So I think that's something that we in Birmingham need to kind of think about. And then also, you just don't know what people are going through. You know?
That is true.
You have no idea what people are going through. Everybody's not strong. So if you just one of the greatest things I've ever been taught in my life was by one of my friends. Hey, Chad. But he told me something that may not mean nothing to you means the world to someone else. That was one of the greatest lessons I've ever learned. And I really think about that on a daily basis. If you see me on social media, nothing I ever post is malicious. It's always to make people laugh. Now, like I said, we're roast masters. So if you end up being part of the joke, I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying?
Keep it tugging.
You know what I'm saying? But, you know, I'm big on making people happy. I want people to smile. I've seen people at their lowest. So I want, if anytime I can elevate someone's thoughts, like I end all of my funeral services by telling people, be kind.
Right.
It's free. You know, you don't know what people are going through. I've left funeral services and gone to the mall and ran into the same family that I just serviced. A rude associate at a store, someone not opening the door for them as they're walking through. Those things can change their trajectory. So why not do the positive things? Hold the door for somebody if you see them coming by.
Right.
When you're walking, just smile. I love when I smile at someone and they smile too.
Right.
That changes everything, you know? So I could say that to Birmingham, you know, be kind.
Yeah.
It costs nothing, you know, and we love free things. But just be kind because you don't know your last day. And, you know, I believe I have to answer to God after all of this.
She may be dealing with your last day. Literally.
You get to ride with me.
She gonna be on it tomorrow. Be kind. Exactly. Got him.
Carefully.
No.
Man, we definitely get what you're saying.
Yeah. But that's what it's all about. Smiling, laughing. You know what I'm saying? Those good laughs, those are what get us through each day.
Right.
So we can just focus more on being positive, elevating people. I mean, imagine what a community can do. If we all do a little, none of us have to do a lot.
That's real.
So if we all just, you know, if I'm nice to you, I'm nice to you. You're going to leave here and go be nice to other people, right?
Pay it forward.
You know, yeah. So that's my whole thing. Just, you know, try to make life enjoyable. I mean, it's a vapor. It goes like that.
Oh,
so
you're right.
Legacy is very important to me. What my father left, my dad has been dead for 12 years now. To this day, it doesn't go a day by that someone is not telling me how my dad helped them or how my dad made the difference for them. And I have to say this about my dad. My dad had a 7th grade education. I don't know if my dad could read, but he was a people person. And I think that kind of rubbed on me too. And it's important. Let that go. But yeah.
And just to add, like, as far as legacy, like, do you see yourself in expansion, like some different cities, or just staying here in the heart of Birmingham?
The thing about expanding when it comes to different cities, I think people go to funeral homes because of familiarity or cost. If we would go to another city in Alabama, a lot of people may know the Bushelon brand, but they are more used to the people that have already been there. I think that a funeral director, if you're owning a funeral home, you need to be in that city with that funeral home.
Gotcha.
Your community needs to know that not only are you there to, see you at your lowest time, but funeral homes used to be the pillar of communities. I would love that people know that funeral homes used to hide civil rights leaders.
Yeah.
They used to let them stay there because they couldn't stay at hotels. Also, to get them in and out the city, they would put them in a hearse because nobody's going to check the back of a hearse.
Wow.
So I want to be that pillar of the community as well on good terms too. I don't know if you all remember at the beginning of COVID, my funeral home is in the West End area. It's a food desert. We started a food truck park there. It became a huge event on Thursdays. Folks coming out there just to kick it, you know?
Wow.
So you have to, when you're leaving a legacy, especially in the funeral business, it can't just be at people's lowest times. You have to be there for your community in anything. Like we not specialize, but we really focus on education. Okay. So all the money that we raised from the food trucks, we gave back to the schools. We furnished a computer lab. We paid for cheerleader uniforms, gave to UNCF, bought a Christmas tree for a school. You never knew that, kids, they don't even have Christmas trees at home. So for them to have a Christmas tree at school, it meant a lot to them. Like I said, may not mean much to you, but it meant the world to them.
Yes, yep.
That's the part of legacy that's important to me. Like, not only in your low times, but to be there for the families and in different times and happier times, and there for your students. They're the future.
Gotcha.
If they remember that there was a funeral director, I did a 5th grade speech one time, and was speaking to the students at the very end. I surprised them at Princeton, actually.
Okay.
I surprised them by getting each one of them bank accounts, because I don't know if you remember this, but my mom used to have a banking program at Princeton, and they don't have it anymore.
Wow.
So we gave each student $50 to put into a bank account so they can start their bank account.
Wow. That's amazing. Like,
And
that's
I never checked on it to see, if the kids are still doing, what they were supposed to be doing.
What bank did you have a relationship with?
Actually, Citizen.
Okay. Citizen Trust. Okay. That's
Yeah, I wanted to work with a black business.
great. Oh, that's great.
At that time,
You're intentional about it as well. Yeah. That's great.
absolutely. At that time, Jason Eppinger was the president there, who was another big brother to me. Like, that's what I love about the city. You grow up with all these people who are amazing people within the city, and we can work with each other to bring up the next generation.
Gotcha. Man, that was a handful. Like, that was a lot. Like, amazing.
And I can ramble.
No. It's just we did not. You dropped history facts on us. Like, you literally
Exactly.
told us things that, like, I think the biggest thing that we've taken so far, like, you're more than a funeral director.
Absolutely.
Right? You guys are, like, really pivotal to the community as a whole, right? So I think when you care about what you do, you find ways, right, to add value to people outside of just the funeral business, right? So I just want to say congratulations. So inspirational.
Thank you.
Grow family, we're gonna take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, I'm gonna have a controversial conversation about something in the funeral industry. Got a surprise for her. We'll be right back. Right now, what we're going to talk about is, in the Black community specifically, or just in this community specifically, there's like this whole thing about gatekeeping in different vocations, different areas, right? So in the funeral, there's somebody right now who's watching this video. They want to be where you are.
Okay.
So where you are right now, how often do people come up to you and say, hey, I want to be in this industry? And what does that look like, you helping them? Do you have mentees, right? Or, do you kind of have the mindset to where, like, hey, I just can't give advice to anybody because you will kind of mess up this industry? Like, what is your thoughts on just gatekeeping as a whole in the industry? Mm-hmm. And, what are you doing to, like, bring on the next generation of people?
I got you. Well, first of all, everybody every day asks me, how can I get in this business?
Wow.
And the first thing that eliminates them is by saying, I just want to drive the cars.
They say that? Like,
Yes. That's less than 5% of what we do at the funeral home. Yeah. I don't want to do anything with the bodies. Well, how you going to do a funeral?
Really?
Yeah, I hear that all the time.
So I tried to tell my brother. My brother was like, bro, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, Jay, you probably don't want to do that.
You don't want to.
Like, honestly.
That's why I was like, keep going. I didn't even know people say stuff like that. But go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, think about it like this. Say we arrive to a church and the decedent needs some type of adjustment. That means you have to work with the body, So I need you to be able to do that. But I do have mentees. I do have apprentice. They're called apprentice in the funeral industry. That they do a 2-year apprenticeship. And then after they do your 2-year apprenticeship, 40 cases, then they're able to sit for the state exam or the national exam. Depends on if you have a 4-year degree, you can do the apprenticeship and sit for the exam. But if you don't have a 4-year degree, you have to go to a 2-year college or some type of mortuary science school, and then you can sit for the exam. But I just listen to people when they tell me that they want to be in the business. Why do you want to be in the business? A lot of times it's because I had someone who passed away. I loved how the funeral director took care of me, and I want to be able to do that for other families. Or I have people sitting across from me while I'm doing arrangements, and they're like, oh, that's easy. I can do this. And I'm thinking in my head, you have no idea. Yeah. You have no idea. Like, I have families who will call me 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and ask me what goes on the front cover of a program. Some people be like, oh, no, I'm not silent. No, I can't do that.
Right.
Because when I first meet families, I tell them, my job is to hold your hand through this week. I'm going to give you a timeline on what you need. I'm going to help you as much as I can. But that's my job. I'm
You
your
may even have to help
concierge.
people call insurance because some people just be completely lost. They don't know nothing about
I call insurance. I sometimes go over the line as far as what I should be doing, but some people just, well, not some people, all the families that I service, if I see there's a need that I can help, I'm gonna feel that need.
Gotcha.
But just going back to people who want to be in the industry, I don't think it's any gatekeeping in the funeral service business industry. I would feel more so it's a lot of people who want to get into it and they weed themselves out by answers saying that I just want to drive the car, or just not being in it for the right reason, taking pictures, putting it on social media. That's not what it's for. If you ever see my page, I rarely put people's funerals on my page. Right. I don't feel like that is a highlight to show. That is someone's lowest moment in their life. Actually, you can get sued also. I've seen cases where people take selfies in the hearse and the caskets in the background, and the family can sue.
So it's a whole, like, they think they know they want to get into this, and then they understand the industry, like, oh, this is way more than I bargained for.
Absolutely.
I'm way more than I'm willing to give up. You got anything?
And
and you won't have Saturdays, so if you're a football fan like me,
it's over with.
You're going to have to watch on your phone, or, that's it.
the dedication, just from the, I guess, business side, how do you handle each funeral emotionally and spiritually?
I actually get up extra early. I get up about 5 o'clock every morning, and that is my time to kind of center myself. What did I do wrong yesterday that I can do better today? If I know a certain family is coming in and maybe I've seen what they've gone through on the news, I'm kind of putting myself in their shoes and seeing how I can highlight their loved one and memorialize them the way they want to be memorialized. But that's how I keep my peace. I wake up early just to have peace. Nobody's calling me at 5 o'clock in the morning, 9 times out of 10. I actually have a balcony. I like to sit on the balcony and just watch the sunrise, and I'm meditating at that time.
Mansion. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
On my apartment building. On the apartment building.
Real slide flash. Sunrise balcony.
But no, I actually don't really go anywhere for real though. Like, I'm funeral home or home.
Homebody.
That's where I find my peace. When you are out and about a lot, that's when things kind of start following you that you don't want to follow you.
Gotcha.
My peace is just getting up early, centering myself, definitely humbling myself because it's not about you.
Right.
I was telling you guys earlier, my days I always tell us nobody came here to see you.
Yep.
So, you have to leave all your things at the door and know that you're coming in to take care of a family. I can be going through the worst time of my life. When I step in there and I'm with the family, it's about them.
Right. One thing I want to say is also, a lot of people don't know, we were talking about this earlier, in Birmingham, I feel like this kind of doesn't exist anymore. And it inspires, me to kind of have this type of family. But in Birmingham, there used to be certain families to where, like, they were well respected and well known, right? So, like, to this day, you have the Crawford family. Everybody know Jackson Nolan, Mr. Crawford, Miss Crawford. You had the Gasson. Gasson obviously is still a household name. The Bushelons, right? The Sankey's. Like, there were certain families in Birmingham to where, like, hey, their family, whether it's the mother or the father, like, they've done such great business or such great work. Whether it's philanthropic, whether it's, in regard to a certain industry they were serving in, but they were consistent over a period of time to where, like, hey, if that name come up, it's respected. And I think, like, your family is one of those last names to where, and it's by default, right? Because your father's been doing this since the 70s, and that's like a quagmire because a person really kind of can't get into the funeral industry. I'm not saying they can't, but it's like, in the funeral industry, majority of your business, I'm guessing, comes from return customers. So, like, I'm going to, when my brother died, like, hey, we're going to tell anybody to go to you. So, like, to be a new funeral home on the block, it's going to be extremely hard for you to beat 30, 40 years worth of service and commitment. But I just wanted to highlight that, like, your family is one of the last, like, well-respected families that everyone knows that last name. And my father used to have, like, this running joke, like, the first name don't mean nothing. Like, you're working for your last name, right? And unfortunately, I think a lot of people, because the family dynamic really isn't that important these days. I just think people have smaller families, but your last name really means something. I think you really highlighted, like, a lot of great things to where what I learned is, like, character is everything, right? So you really have to right, Birmingham is small too. So like, if you have a bad moment or a bad interaction with somebody, it's nothing in Birmingham to pick up a phone. You pick up a phone between 1 or 2 conversations, somebody's going to know somebody, right? And I think you really have to watch how you navigate throughout life because, their name, you know, their name means a lot. But I think your family overall, their Bushelon name, is, at a high level, you know, in regard to the matter of respect it has. And I just think, you know, I just want to say for you, you have done a great job in regard to maintaining that level of respect for your family.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, Bushelon is a brand. That is something that I've accepted. And I know when I go out, and another reason why I don't go out a lot is no matter where I am, I'm a walking billboard for my family.
Right.
So I have to watch, you know, what I do. Now, people don't know this about me, but in my head, I'm a rock star. I want to stand on top of couches, throwing bottles. That's what I really want to do. I'm going to be real with you.
Right.
But I can't do that. You know?
Right.
Now, in Vegas, different story. But, yeah, but no, like, I can't carry on like that because people almost hold me to regard of like a, minister.
You're a celebrity too. Yeah. But keep going. Yeah.
But so, you know, how I interact with people, I'm very, very cognitive of, I really am aware of everything around me.
Gotcha.
When I'm in the grocery store and it's really me. It's not a character. I'm going to speak to people when I walk past them. You know, when I'm at the cashier, I might actually ask them, you know, how was your day today? And I'm going to actually listen and want to talk to them. That's part of our brand, caring about people, but that's me also. That's my character. And I can credit that to Princeton Elementary School. That was our foundation because we went to a school that if you weren't on the A or the AB honor roll, you know what I'm saying? What's going on?
Yeah. Right.
You know, I grew up in a organization called Jack and Jill. Jack and Jill is one of the best organizations I've ever been a part of. It kept us
Gotta be invited to Jack and Jill.
You do.
You gotta be somebody to be in Jack and Jill. You gotta have that phone. Now everybody can't. Just let you know now. I'm an alpha. I wasn't in Jack and Jill, but you got that phone. But
it's a great organization that, you know, I'm glad that it's selective because it put me around kids that weren't in the Birmingham city school system, but had a lot of similarities to me. Right. And it cultured us. It's the reason that I went skiing every year. You know, it put us on the things that we wouldn't normally do. Right. I loved it so much that I actually ended up being the team president when I, you know, was a senior. Wow. Over Alabama, Georgia, Florida. Okay. And those connections are priceless to this day. You know, I can reach out to people that I've met within our network. Even when I was in school at Clark Atlanta, Morehouse, Spelman, we had Jack and Jillers there. And we keep each other grounded. Like, really, I think most Jack and Jillers are some of the coolest, down-to-earth people ever because we were cultured so much growing up. We were taught morals and respect and how you carry yourself in the community. Writing a thank you note. People don't do that. You know, those are the things that they taught us. So I think that that's really a good foundation of why I am who I am today. Right. Even at Clark Atlanta, I had teachers who would call me if I don't show up to class. You know, having that accountability growing up really helps form somebody into a quote unquote good individual. And I'm big on being a good individual. Yeah, I think that you have to, somebody got to be good. You know, there's a lot of monsters in this world, but
somebody got to set the standard.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we just want to say we thank you so much for coming on the show. It was definitely a blessing to hear everything you've been doing in the industry. And I'm pretty sure the guests also love to hear your story and also some great history facts. And also understand that character definitely matters. But with that being said, we're going to head out. All right, Growth fam. Catch you guys later.